VELO Labs, PDAX, and Stellar. What do those three companies have in common? Well, they're working on a massive payment corridor in the Philippines. Let's explore this news story. Why? Because Stellar is silently growing and expanding its reach further and further and further. And remember, earlier this week, we talked about what? The remittance corridor in the Western Hemisphere. Yep, now we have to start talking about the Philippines, emerging Asia, and Far East. And as always, any article you see in this video will be linked in the description below. Stellar expands remittance corridor in the Philippines in its latest partnership move. Stellar backed VELO Labs. They have been working now with Stellar since 2020. Yep, they are backed financially by Stellar. They got some help from Stellar in the beginning. Stellar backed VELO Labs and Philippine Digital Asset Exchange, PDAX, announced a new partnership to open a remittance corridor into the Philippines using the Stellar network. Now, Stellar and VELO have been working together. PDAX, right? The Philippine Digital Asset Exchange, that is who they have involved now with this latest move. So now you're probably wondering about PDAX. PDAX is the top digital asset exchange in the Philippines that enables Filipinos to buy and sell virtual currencies. Big. Why? Because, again, emerging market, cash-based society, perfect place for Stellar and VELO Labs to launch a protocol like this, a remittance protocol that will save people money. Now, how big is this actual payment corridor and how big is this for Stellar? With an estimated $34 billion in remittances arriving into the Philippines each year, right? That is money inflowing to Philippines. VELO Labs and PDAX aim to improve on current inefficiencies by leveraging VELO Labs blockchain payment infrastructure through Stellar. By using this technology, VELO Labs and PDAX will strive to bring secure, near real-time and low-cost payments to both the Philippines, cross-border market, and end consumers. So we know about the benefits of Stellar, and you know what? Let's go big screen. So we know about all the obvious benefits of Stellar, right? It's speed, security, right? It's throughput of operations. But one of the big things that Stellar can help with that's often unmentioned is how much money it can save people with remittances. In this article, it states that the average remittance fee right now is 6.5%. That being said, I have seen articles and studies out there that show the average between 7 to 10% and as high as 14%. Yes, 14%. So if you were to send money back home, even if we go with 6.5%, if you were to send $100 to your family back home, $6.50 of it would be taken out just due to those transaction fees, right? The remittance fees. Stellar can lower that to way, way less, putting more money into the end user's pockets. So we talked about the remittance rates. We talked about how big of an actual market it is, but let's put it in terms of GDP because I think this stat might scare you. This is why remittances are so big. In the United States, Canada, all right, we deal with the outflow most often of remittances, not the inflow. So we don't really see the inflow stats, but let's talk about some inflow stats right here. This is how big remittances are for the GDP of a country. Let's take the Philippines, all right? Philippine remittances were 31st relative to economic output with a share of, listen to this, 9.8% of their GDP comes from remittances. Yes, money that is sent from outside the country back to family and friends inside the country for financial support. Think about that. 10% of that country's GDP is taxed at a minimum by fees of 6.5% just by using cross-border payment corridors that are inefficient and expensive. So you're probably asking yourself, you know what, Klaus, that sounds all well and good, but what does this do for Stellar? What does it do for the price? How do we track success of this? Well, let's talk about this, okay? Let's talk about tracking success, and I'm going to show you right now. So if you want to track progress of Stellar and all of these projects out there, you can get data sources directly from the group, say like VELO Labs, but you can also use Stellar Expert. And what you will see is this. As new people are onboarded, which is this chart right here, this is this blue line right here, new people are onboarded, you're going to see more and more transactions, right? So as Stellar and VELO Labs start working in the Philippines, that will drive up the number of transactions. Think of people using crypto like they would a debit or credit card, right? $1.99 transactions, $5 transactions, grocery shopping for $80, $100, you get my point. So we can track success of these programs by how many more transactions are being processed on the ledger. And I have that here up in orange, all right? And you could see over the last couple years, we have had a huge increase of processed operations. I mean, that is massive, okay? Now, if you go now even to 1 month to see what it looks like, we are seeing many times transactions in the 9.5 million transactions a day to 10 million transactions a day. With these programs, we will then start seeing those transactions jump up to 10.5 million, 11 million, 12 million transactions a day. And remember, all of those transactions use 0.00001 lumens to process that transaction. So with $34 billion every year flowing into the Philippines in terms of remittances, and with a 6.5% fee that was attached to that for remittances, you can see that Stellar is going to be a way to save people a lot of money and put money back in the hands of the end user, the people receiving the remittances, the people that need the money the most. So there you have it. Stellar is expanding quietly into other reaches out there, taking their existing partnerships and taking it further and further and further, and cranking up the pressure on the remittance corridor out there. Now, if you like cool Stellar stuff like this, you can always click right here. But if you want to see the new exciting channel we have regarding adventures that I do, you're always welcome to click right here. All right, everyone, take care.